Hey Fabes, this is Kayfabe Forever, and welcome to your weekly Raw review for the date of
November 11th, 2024.
Now just to be clear, this Raw was a double taping, but don't worry, we will not be discussing spoilers for the next week's Raw. With that out of the way, let's jump right in, shall we? A very confident DAMIEN PRIEST confronts Gunther in the middle of the ring to open the show. I don't know if it's the upgrade to his walkout theme or post-championship clarity, but this is a DAMIEN PRIEST we've never seen before. He absolutely dominates Gunther on the mic. People are even comparing him to Eminem in 8 Mile and stuff. So it's hilarious. DAMIEN insists that Gunther hasn't been the same since SummerSlam, where he won the belt due to a technicality. That technicality being Finn Balor. Oh, and also losing to Cody Rhodes at Crown Jewel. Gunther tries to clap back, but he's at a loss for words as Cody chants erupt from the crowd. DAMIEN continues to poke at Gunther's open wound, and for the first time in I think ever, we see Gunther look unsure of himself. Ludwig Kaiser tries to interrupt, but Gunther covers the mic. Kaiser fights back, which I thought was pretty interesting. Ludwig then calls DAMIEN street trash. DAMIEN makes Ludwig regret his words, and we see a look of fear from Gunther as he cowers out of the ring. This was fully unexpected, but I really like what Creative did here. We all know DAMIEN isn't winning the title back at Survivor Series, but this segment elevated him nonetheless. I know some Gunther fans will be upset about this portrayal, but I think this segment brought a much-needed complexity to Gunther. We're gonna need to humanize him a bit. If not, it's just his IC title run all over again, just with a shinier belt. The Uso triplets link up backstage. Sami compliments Jimmy on his chain, and Jimmy is more concerned with finding a fifth man for War Games. Many fans, including me, were under the impression that this year's War Games was going to be 4v4, and that's perfect in my opinion, seeing as everyone directly involved with this storyline was going to be present. I mean, OG Bloodline versus bootleg Bloodline after all. But it seems WWE has other plans. Bronson Reed is quickly becoming a security guard's worst nightmare. He calls out Seth Rollins once again, and they brawl it out for a bit, and Adam Pearce needs another drink. There was a ton of dialogue around whether or not Rollins should have won at Crown Jewel, but let's be honest, if Reed is going to live up to his reputation, he needs to capture that win against Rollins as soon as possible. And there's no better time than now, because Pearce confirms there will be, in fact, another rematch between Rollins and Reed on the next Raw. I don't know who has worse timing, Tongaloa or Sami Zayn, because it's at this moment that Sami decides to pop the question to Seth. He asks Rollins to be his fifth man at War Games. Sami brings up the complicated but deep history between Seth and Roman, claiming that no matter how bad things get, the two of them will always be brothers. Isn't that sweet? Well, Seth appreciates Sami, but he literally sacrificed himself at WrestleMania 40 in order to dethrone Roman in the first place. Now he's gonna help the very man he despised return to power? I don't think so. On top of that, Rollins is disappointed in Sami for aligning with Roman after everything he's done to manipulate him in the past. Can't Sami see he's just being used? I gotta say, I agree with Seth on this one. Roman has shown little to no remorse for what he's done in the past. He hasn't even properly apologized for his actions. I get that Sami is feeling oozy, but answer this for me. What has Roman actually done to earn Sami's trust? We catch up with The Miz backstage following his abduction by the WYATT SICKS. He's confronted by Karrion Kross and the Final Testament. He claims to be a changed man following his disturbing encounter with Uncle Howdy, but Karrion doesn't believe him and wants retribution for Paul Ellering. Final Testament drags Miz to the stage to make an example of him. Karrion asks Miz, "Where are the Wyatts?" Uncle Howdy and the WYATT SICKS emerge from the shadows. But it turns out this is all part of an elaborate trap as the Miz takes a chair to the back of Eric Rowan and the Final Testament obliterate the WYATT SICKS. But Uncle Howdy, in Heath Ledger Joker fashion, just can't stop laughing. This feud is shaping up to be an interesting one. And man, Karrion Kross is so underrated. It looks like we're getting Braun Breaker versus Sheamus. Should be a certified banger. Also, Jimmy has a question for Braun. Fifth man? We all know Braun's not gonna join the Bloodline at War Games, but it's a fun idea. Solo is posted out back in the parking lot to ask Rollins about joining forces against Roman. Rollins swerves Solo so good here, stating his distaste for Roman. Solo goes in for a handshake, and Seth continues on to say, "But I will never join forces with a wannabe Roman Reigns."
Roasted.
And finally, the main event no one asked for. Jade and Bianca defend the Women's Tag Team Championships against LIV and RAQUEL after having a heated encounter last Monday. The match is cool and all, but is it just me, or have the women's matches felt awfully convoluted lately? Has me begging for a simple one-on-one classic like Rhea vs Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania 39. Never thought I'd be asking for a Charlotte match, but here we are. I mean, there was a total of 8 women involved in this match, starting with an interruption by Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton on behalf of LIV and RAQUEL. Then Naomi gets involved to help her friends Bianca and Jade. Bianca delivers a KOD to LIV to retain, and then Nia Jax comes back from the dead to take the champs out after the bell. Then seemingly out of nowhere, Io Sky comes to the rescue. All of this implying a women's War Games that in all honesty feels rushed and devoid of any meaningful backstory. Look, all of these women are amazingly talented wrestlers in their own right, but where is the story? Sure, there's a little history between each of them, but nothing substantial enough to warrant an entire War Games. This all felt like an afterthought, like WWE just remembered last minute, oh shit, we need a War Games for the women. Hopefully there's an angle to all of this that we just haven't discovered yet and will be explored in the coming weeks, but until then, this Raw had an emphasis on building fresh story points, which I really appreciate, but left little to desire in the match department, and a confusing and underwhelming main event. For those reasons, I'm giving this Raw 6 yeets out of 10. What did you think of this week's Raw? Was I a little too harsh on the ladies? Have you been spoiled and know who the 5th men are? If you do, please don't put it in the comments below or I'll find you. I swear I'll find you and I'll